5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. The matter before the court arises out of a dispute between two parties wherein the petitioner has filed a civil suit seeking specific relief. The plaintiff alleges that the defendant has unlawfully encroached upon property over which the petitioner claims legal possession and enjoyment for a continuous period. The grievance of the plaintiff, as set forth in the plaint, is that the defendant, despite repeated oral warnings and written notices, has failed to vacate the said premises and has instead attempted to alter the nature and character of the property in question. It is further contended by the learned counsel for the petitioner that the property forms part of the ancestral holding and has been under uninterrupted, peaceful, and undisputed possession of the plaintiff for a considerable duration. In support of this submission, the plaintiff has filed certain documents including revenue receipts, municipal records, and affidavits of local witnesses who attest to the long-standing possession of the petitioner. The plaintiff seeks a decree of permanent injunction and mandatory injunction, restraining the defendant from carrying out further construction or making structural changes upon the suit property. On the other hand, the defendant, in his written statement, has categorically denied the allegations leveled against him. It is the defense of the respondent that he has not committed any trespass and that the possession claimed by the plaintiff is disputed, as the title of the property is not established through any conclusive evidence. The defendant argues that the petitioner has no locus standi to institute the suit and that the present proceedings are nothing but an abuse of the process of law. During the course of the arguments, the learned counsel for the defendant further submitted that the petitioner has failed to prove possession in the manner required under civil law. It was argued that mere production of revenue documents is not sufficient to establish ownership or even possession, and in the absence of a registered title document or a valid transfer deed, the plaintiff cannot claim any legal rights over the said property. The defendant therefore prays for dismissal of the suit with exemplary costs. The court has perused the material on record, including the pleadings of both parties, the documentary evidence submitted, and the oral testimonies of witnesses examined during the trial. The court finds that certain facts are not in dispute. It is admitted that the property lies within the municipal limits and is a part of a residential layout. It is also not denied that some construction work was undertaken at the site by the defendant. However, the main issue for determination in the present suit is whether the plaintiff is entitled to the relief of injunction based on possession and whether the defendant has, without any authority of law, interfered with such possession. It is settled position in law that possession, even if not supported by title, deserves to be protected against unlawful interference by anyone except a person having better title. A person in settled possession cannot be dispossessed without following due process of law. In the present case, the plaintiff has brought forth evidence to demonstrate long-standing possession. The court notes that the revenue receipts produced, though not conclusive of title, do show a consistent pattern of occupation. The testimonies of the independent witnesses also lend support to the plaintiff's claim of residing upon the suit property for several years. Moreover, the court finds that the defendant has not filed any counterclaim nor has he sought declaration of ownership in his favor, which casts doubt upon his assertion of lawful possession. The court also finds merit in the submission of the plaintiff's counsel that the sudden construction activity initiated by the defendant was without any prior notice or lawful sanction. There is no material to indicate that the defendant had obtained requisite permissions or authorizations before altering the structure of the suit property. Such conduct, if allowed to continue unchecked, would result in irreparable harm to the plaintiff. The court is, therefore, of the view that the balance of convenience lies in favor of the plaintiff and that an interim relief is necessary to prevent further complications. Granting of such injunction is also warranted to maintain the status quo and to avoid multiplicity of proceedings. The court is conscious of the fact that in matters involving property disputes, rights of parties must be determined with reference to evidence and after following the principles of natural justice. Accordingly, the court holds that the plaintiff has established a prima facie case for grant of permanent injunction. The evidence on record points towards possession by the plaintiff over the suit property. The defendant, having failed to produce documents to show ownership or lawful entry, cannot be permitted to disturb such possession by force or by altering the nature of the property. Having considered all the facts and circumstances, the suit is decreed in favor of the plaintiff. A decree of permanent injunction is hereby passed, restraining the defendant from interfering with the peaceful possession of the plaintiff over the suit property. The defendant is further directed to remove all unauthorized constructions made during the pendency of the suit. The plaintiff shall be entitled to recover the costs of the suit from the defendant. Before parting with this judgment, the court wishes to observe that civil disputes involving property rights require careful adjudication based on established principles of evidence and fairness. Courts must ensure that no person is deprived of possession except by recourse to legal remedies. At the same time, courts must guard against frivolous litigation and ensure that parties do not misuse the process to harass genuine occupants. The registry is directed to send a certified copy of the judgment to both parties within the prescribed period. All pending applications stand disposed of. The suit is accordingly allowed to the extent indicated hereinabove. This judgment shall not be treated as a precedent in unrelated matters, and parties are advised to seek amicable resolution in future disputes wherever possible. Stop.